We were talking about 6-year-old Morgan Nick. She's a 6-year-old little girl who was kidnapped 31 years ago. She went missing in 1995. Here's a picture of Morgan and the guy they think took her. The disappearance of 6-year-old girl in Arkansas who went missing after chasing fireflies at a Little League ballpark has been a mystery. Then a key clue discovered in a red truck provided investigators with a break in the case. Earlier this week, the Alma Police Department announced a suspect in Morgan's Nick's disappearance for the first time in 3 decades. Billy Jack Links, an Arkansas man who owned the red truck, was identified as the man who allegedly abducted Morgan in 1995. The police chief, Jeff Pointer, said at a press conference. Pointer said lab testing determined that hair found in a truck owned by Links was that of Colleen Nick. Morgan's mother, one of Colleen Nick's siblings, or one of her children. Follow-up interview of members of the Nick family revealed that none of them knew Links and that none of them had ever been in his truck. In 2021, the FBI identified him as a person of interest in Morgan's disappearance. It took another 3 years to name him as a suspect. So what led investigators to hone in on this guy? It all started with a look into his past. Billy Jack was born and raised in Crawford County, Arkansas. He served in the U.S. Army during World War II, and he worked at Braniff Airlines in Dallas from 1962 to 1974. In the late 1970s, he made his way back to River Valley. He was arrested in 1992 for sexually abusing a young girl. In August of 1995, only 2 months after Morgan Nick was reported missing, he was arrested for attempting to abduct an 11-year-old girl at a Sonic in Van Buren, just 8 miles from the Alma ballpark where Morgan vanished from. While he was being investigated, he was also questioned in Morgan's disappearance, but he denied any knowledge of it. In 1996, he was later found guilty of sexual solicitation of a child in regards to the first attempted abduction of the 11-year-old and sentenced to prison. He drove a red 1986 Chevrolet pickup truck, which slightly matched the truck seen in a home video taken the night Morgan was reported missing. For years, investigators linked a red truck to Morgan's disappearance, but his truck did not have a camper shell when he was arrested in August of 1995. Detectives found an interview of his neighbor during the attempted abduction investigation in which the neighbor said they think it had a camper shell on his red pickup truck. The neighbor also believed it was 2 months ago when he saw the camper. Billy died in 2000 while still in prison at the age of 72, but it wasn't until after his death that investigators named him as a person of interest in Morgan's disappearance. She was last seen on June 9th of 1995 at a Little League game in Alma, Arkansas. She went off to catch fireflies with friends and was never seen again. They believe Morgan was abducted from the parking lot around 10:45 p.m. that evening. Witnesses gave police a suspect description as well as the description of a red truck with a white camper shell that was allegedly involved in the crime. But the case went cold and remained that way for years. In 2020, they decided to reopen the case. They searched his truck after tracking down the current owner, who said he did not know him. The truck had been sold several times in the years that followed. Here's a picture of Morgan. Inside the truck, investigators found multiple hairs. A crime lab determined that the hairs likely belonged to a member of Morgan's family. After confirming that there was no evidence that any of the family had been in his truck, officials said the evidence strongly indicates that Morgan had been in his truck, and he was named an official suspect. At a press conference held on October 1st of 2024, the Alma police chief officially identified Billy Jack as the main suspect in Morgan's disappearance. The search for the little girl continues. Pointer said police are still investigating Morgan's disappearance and have questions that trying to answer, including how she was taken from the ball field, what happened next, and whether Billy had any help abducting Morgan or concealing her kidnapping. And where is she now? I can tell you today that this investigation is not over. It is ongoing and active. Morgan's mother, Colleen Nick, who started a foundation to help the families of other missing children, said Billy stole her daughter from her and the rest of the Nick family. But he didn't see he could never win because our love for Morgan, her memory, and her voice outlasted his life. And that love continues to shine. Her heart, Morgan's heart, shines on. Hopefully one day they can find Morgan and her family can get closure.
People don't come here because they believe Morgan's not coming home. The people that show up are the people that believe, and so it's awesome.
A smile like that is rare these days for Colleen Nick. What she would like most on her daughter's 7th birthday is to see her and know she's alive and well. It's a wish shared by hundreds of friends who, with the release of bright pink balloons, helped transform this baseball field of bad dreams into an upbeat, hopeful birthday celebration.
Spirits are real good right now, you know. It's been a rough weekend. Yesterday was rough and the day was rough till we got here. And got here, seen all the people, seen all the balloons, and you know, it's really helped. It's really brought us up.
And a present did arrive for the Nicks, a message from police in Arizona that a young girl fitting Morgan's description was seen Sunday night in a Payson restaurant just north of Phoenix. Police believe this lead is so strong they're putting out a media alert.
This photograph was shown to our witnesses at the restaurant. They have positively identified Morgan as being the little girl in the restaurant. Her hair was cut short. It was blunt cut, as if somebody had whacked it off with a pair of scissors, because her hair was much longer when she was abducted. The suspect matched the description of the one that abducted Morgan in Arkansas, and the vehicle matched as far as color and having Arkansas plates.
More than 1,000 people joined hands tonight and prayed for a little girl named Morgan Nick. 1 year ago today, a stranger kidnapped the 6-year-old girl from a baseball field in Alma. She has not been seen since.
I want to ask everyone to continue to have faith, to be faithful, and to continue to believe and have faith that Morgan will be returned home safely.
Tonight's Believe for Morgan rally is truly about believing. So many here tonight have faith that Morgan's alive. Many believe because Morgan's mother does.
We're here to stand on our faith and our hope and believe for Morgan and show the world that we're going to fight for her, and we're going to bring her home, and we're going to end this nightmare because she doesn't deserve this.
Colleen has made America familiar with Morgan's story. She told it at the White House and on the Oprah Show. Her courage is overwhelming.
I don't care what the odds are, and I do not care what the statistics are, because Morgan will come home. I believe in a mighty and powerful and awesome God, and I believe from day one that He has protected her. And I know there are a lot of children that are taken and that are not recovered alive. But I tell you what, Morgan's going to be different.
That stoplight, turn left, go to the very next stoplight. It's just one block.
It's just not a time to crucify somebody before we know anything. Obtained an attorney the other day, and I heard him being interviewed about it, and it's probably the smartest thing he could do under the circumstances.
This could be right here.
Perhaps more than ever, Arkansans are worrying about what may have happened to Morgan Nick on June the 9th, 1995. In an affidavit just released, police say a 36-year-old deaf man from Crawford County was videotaped saying he remembers going to the Little League ball field in Alma. He then remembers raping Morgan Nick, waking up with blood on his clothes, then burning the bloody clothes after hearing about the abduction on the news the next day. The document went on to say that the suspect, quote, felt that I did it, unquote, referring to Morgan Nick. The 6-year-old girl was last seen emptying sand from her shoe at this Alma ballpark. Now police may have found the first evidence of her existence since that day. 22 items were seized from the suspect's home and vehicle, among them a pink toothbrush, a knife, a wood chisel, one long reddish blonde hair, a roll of duct tape with hair fibers, and several items with dark reddish stains. They've all been sent to the FBI for evaluation, and until those results are released, Alma Police Chief Russell White says no charges will be filed and the suspect will be able to walk free. For now, Morgan's family and church family is still hoping there is the chance their little girl will still come home.
Got your new pair of shoes.
Yep. Still Daddy's little girl. We ready? Yeah. Okay. Can you tell me what kind of contact you've had with the FBI?
We've been in contact with them weekly. We've talked to them a couple of times this week. We're no closer than what we were, or we may be closer, but we haven't got any more results than we had the very first week. Talking to them, we anticipate that they'll begin on it pretty soon, we hope. We still don't know how long that'll take after they begin. Depends on the amount of evidence, the number of fibers and things like that.
So did they give you any kind of time frame at all?
No, they haven't. Haven't got any time frame at this point. We're a few weeks closer than what we were, obviously, but we still don't know when that'll be.
Have you gone back out to his house and done any more searching, or have you talked to him at all?
No, we haven't been back out to his house. We have not talked to him. Have been in touch with his attorney at one point, but we haven't spoken to him at all.
So you haven't moved any, are you trying to set up an interview of some time where you can interview him?
No, we probably won't attempt to do that. Unless something else comes up, probably won't attempt to do anything like that until after we have the results from the lab.
Okay. Has he had any backlash from the public?
Well, I can't really say. I haven't talked to him.
Nothing criminal that you've been
right? No, we
anything?
haven't had any complaints from the family or him about other people. We haven't had any contact with them, so we really don't know.
I had been told that he worked at the Stepping Stone School. Did Morgan have any connection to that school or anything?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
All right. What's the general feeling in the community? I mean, it's been a couple of weeks and people are wanting to know something. And
well, I think some people are frustrated that obviously it takes that long. But again, we sent it to them knowing that it would take a while, but we also felt like they were the best avenue for this evidence, that we get the best results. It's the premier lab in the country, and it's why we want it.
What's the most time we could be looking at? 6 months?
I don't know. I hope it's not that long. It could be that long.
I guess. I mean, do you keep an eye on him? What if?
No,
I know you don't. You told me you didn't.
Right. No, he's on bond.
He's on bond.
I'm sorry. He's out. He's free. He's not on bond.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
Okay. He's free to do as he wants. There's no hold. He doesn't have to report to us or anything like that. He's free to go and come as he pleases.
Does that not concern other people in the community?
Well, I'm sure it does. But that's our legal system, and that's the way it's set up. And it's supposed to be equal for everybody. And we have no reason to hold this man at this point. So he's free to come and go as he pleases.
What about other leads? Has this been a big blocker to other leads coming in? Have they slowed down? Has really since this came out?
Initially a little bit, but no, not too bad. We're still getting a few leads. You know, they're a little slow right now. I can't say whether it's from this or if it's just one of those times. I mean, we've had periods when they've slowed down at times. We're not getting a whole lot in the last couple of weeks, but you know, until we get further down the road, I won't be able to tell you whether it's from this or something else.
Okay, so do we need to do that again because of the train? We do? Okay.
Can we cut out that bond part?
Yeah.
I'm sorry
Okay.
about that.
Oh, that's okay. I won't use that part.
That's got it.
Save it. Okay. Tell me about the leads, though, because I know one of Colleen's concerns at that press conference was that she didn't want people to stop looking for Morgan.
We've had, you know, our leads have got slower. I don't know that it's from this. We've had periods when the leads have slowed down. We won't know until we get further on down the road whether, you know, it actually occurred because of this or just a natural slump. You know, we've had times when leads were slow.
Do you have a gut feeling about this? I mean, I know this is your case, and you've been working it for a long time.
You know, to tell you I didn't would be a lie, but you know, I really can't express those. I try to keep those out of these. You know, try to deal with the facts.
But what do you about all those rumors? Are they still running around that, you know, she's buried somewhere and you guys have dug up her body and all that stuff? I mean,
no, not too bad. That's slowed down some.
Any backlash from the guy that ended up giving you guys the tape?
Not
His
that I'm
friend?
aware of,
Nothing.
no.
Nothing's happened there, and that was some concern.
Not that I'm aware
Anything else you can think of?
of. It's windy.
It is windy. Okay. What about you, Casey? Well, I don't know how these things work. Come on. Come on.
Probably coming today.
But yeah, I thought I would see him up there today. Was he not up there today?
No, he wasn't up there today.
Well,
Because as soon as you called, I called down to see who was dispatching today. He'll be
I'm sure
real
I'll be
upset
back.
when he hears.
I thought for sure. I thought, well, because the two guys walked by that truck, Casey. I thought that might have been one of them, but it wasn't. Okay. Well, as you know, there's really nothing new, but or as we know, and it's been about a month since we last talked to you, and since all the stuff came up. What's going on day to day? Do you keep in touch with?
Right, I talk to him all the time, but really nothing else has developed on this case right now. We're still waiting for everything to come back from the DNA. You know, for us, it's life goes on. I don't know, not life goes on as normal is probably not the right word, but you know, we're still looking for Morgan, and just because we have this suspect or some possible evidence doesn't stop what we're doing. You know, we're still looking for Morgan, and so that's what we're still doing every day is the same thing we were doing before.
But you said that it's kind of either maybe the timing or the surfacing of this possible suspect has maybe impacted the leads and that you haven't gotten as many.
Well, and I think that was partially because everybody took such a big interest and the media got real involved, and everybody would like to think that this is over and that we have, you know, the big bad kidnapper in jail. That means everybody's safe and there's not a predator roaming our streets. And if everybody can think that this is our guy, that means they're safe, but the problem is it stops the leads. And Morgan's not home, so we can't let the leads stop. Even if this is our kidnapper, even if this is our suspect, the leads can't stop because Morgan's not home.
Aren't you kind of frustrated that it's taking so long? I mean, you've got to be frustrated that
But what in
The
particular,
FBI.
this whole 2 years?
Well, I mean, everything in general, but just that. I mean, so you would know right away.
I don't know, because I think, you know, because we've had 2.5 years of this, what we do, I really think what I do is I just stay focused on the goal, which is finding Morgan, and I know that they're going to do their job and they're going to get it back to us as quickly as possible. And when they do, then we'll know. I think maybe, maybe I'm not as anxious as everybody else because I still believe in my heart that Morgan is alive. And if this guy did what he says he did, then that would lead everybody to believe that Morgan is not alive. So I tend to think he's maybe not even involved. So.
That's what I was going to ask you. In your gut, every mother has those gut instincts, and everyone in the community has known about him. We've never said his name, but did you feel like this when his name surfaced and all this stuff came out? Did you feel like this could really be it, or do you feel kind of basically that you?
Well, I still feel like Morgan's alive. I was up in Minnesota over the weekend. We were doing a kickoff fundraiser for another foundation, and there were several parents there whose children were either still missing or who have been recovered. And we were talking about how you get that, and it's unexplainable. You just get that in your heart, and and you can talk to parents whose child will eventually be recovered or be found deceased. And there's just something in them, even if they're saying to you, I believe my child will come home alive, there's just something there that you can tell that they don't really believe it or they don't really feel it. And there's some parents who will tell you from the start that they don't think that their child is coming home alive, and that's how it always turns out. And there are other parents who have just felt it in their heart from the beginning, and their kids have come home alive. And it's something that I've never thought Morgan was dead. I've questioned it, and I've dug deep into my soul, and I don't believe she is. I truly don't. So.
That makes all of us feel good when you feel like that.
Yeah.
It's like, you're the leader.
Well, somebody else told me that the other day. They said, but the more you talk to people and tell them that you believe Morgan's alive, it increases their hope and their faith, which to me, I don't understand that, but I believe it with all my heart. So, in my own mind, I'm saying to myself, well, if this guy took Morgan, then maybe he took her, but I don't believe he killed her. I don't believe it, not for 2 seconds. Not for 2 seconds.
Has the community, atmosphere changed in the last month since all this happened, do you think? Do people, I guess he's in the hospital now, so people don't blame him, or I don't know, they're not seeing him in public to
Oh, I don't know about any of that. I don't know any about that. Mm-mm.
Okay. What about, have they given you any time frame for the test?
No, just the same thing that they said at the beginning.
6 weeks or 6 months?
Yeah, it could take a really long time. So, I think initially that was a little bit hard to swallow, but I want it done right. You don't want evidence lost or done incorrectly so that later it's questionable. If this guy had anything to do with Morgan's kidnapping, I want the evidence so tight that, he can't get away from it. And if he didn't have anything to do with it, I also want the same kind of evidence so it shows very clearly that it wasn't him, and we can get on with the investigation and find Morgan.
I know you travel around and you do all these things. Can you kind of explain to the public what you do on a day-to-day basis? I know you do everything, but
I have no idea.
In a brief synopsis.
I don't know. That is really, really hard to do. We do a lot of community education with our teenagers, with our little kids, with the parents. We do safety seminars and fingerprint clinics. I also travel and work with the Justice Department doing law enforcement training. And we have a new grant with the state of Arkansas to do a project called Project Hope to work with families of missing children, whether they're runaways or family or stranger abducted children, to provide emotional support while their child is missing and after their child comes home. So we're busy.
Yes, in like a backwards way, this is giving you a way to change.
It has.
The world.
It has. It has. We can make a difference for the children, but we have to get involved and we have to do it. Everybody can make a difference, but you have to stay involved. Have you read John Walsh's new book?
No.
You need to read that. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. You can take his book and change, like so with all these parents this weekend, you could change the name and the missing circumstances for Adam, and it fits every family. It's amazing how he managed to capture all the emotions that you go through when you lose your child, that he was actually able to get that down on paper. You should read it. It's incredible.
You seem pretty, not at peace, but just really in control of the situation.
I have my moments. You know, like the day that they came to tell me about this guy, the suspect, you know, Russell and Mike, they called me at 7 o'clock in the morning and said, you know, there's something we need to talk to you about. And I said, fine, you know, I'll drop the kids off at school, I'll be down. And he said, no, we really need to come by the house and talk to you. So immediately my heart, I couldn't breathe, my heart stopped, like, I mean, it was pounding. I took the kids over to my neighbors because I knew they don't come to my house if, you know, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, emotionally, I wasn't in real good shape then, but if I said it once, I've said it 100 times. If we sit around and we're so upset and we cry all the time and nobody can get anything done, then we're not doing the best job that we can for Morgan.
All right. So can you tell me where we are today? Are we any closer than we were yesterday?
No, we're pretty much where we were at. You know, we're just really at this point, unless something breaks, we're waiting for the forensics to come back, so we don't have anything more today.
Now, I've been told it could take days or months. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, we really don't know how long it'll take. Some of it's dependent on the caseload. We do feel like we'll get a preliminary report prior to the final report, but we feel like it's probably be months before we have a final report.
How long for the preliminary?
Don't really know. It's a guess, and it's not one that I'd be very good at guessing at probably. We're still looking at probably several weeks or months on that.
Are you in contact with the people at the FBI every day on, you know, like checking on where they are?
Well, we're working with the FBI on the case, naturally, so the local agents that's working on it, assigned to it, we talk to pretty regular, and we have not been in contact with the lab. You know, we'll leave that up to the agents we're working with to do that.
Have you been in contact again with this person?
I'm sorry. No, we have not.
What about his attorney?
No, we haven't tried to initiate any kind of contact, and probably won't until we have some more information.
How's the community reacting to all this? I mean, is there like kind of a...
Well, you know, it's
I know
hard for me to say.
a lot of people are saying that they're upset that there isn't an arrest,
right.
That there's been a supposed confession.
Well, and I don't know, to be honest. I haven't had that feedback, you know, and of course it may be going on and I'm just not aware of it. I know people would like to see this case come to an end. I don't think anybody in our community would like to see us arrest an innocent man, so you know, that's where we're at this point.
Along that same line, just having heard Colleen's comments yesterday about public speculation and her kids having to put up with that and things like that, is there a lot of that kind of talk going around? I mean, that you're aware of?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of people talking about the case. I mean, you know, it's a small community. Everybody knows everybody. It's on TV. They see it. They read about it. So they talk about it. To how much speculation they do on their own, or the rumors, I don't really know. I'm kind of closed within my circle, but I do know there is some. We hear several of the rumors. Hopefully some of that has, you know, dissipated a little with you know, getting the facts out. I bet there's always going to be rumors, and we don't have any way to control those. So.
Okay. So what do you think about this latest suspect and the possibility of him being the one that did it?
He probably did, you know. It seems like that he's got a lot of the information that, you know, they would need. I don't know why he would confess to it and then change his story. It seems like a long time that, you know, if it was on his conscience that he would just finally decide to say something. No, that don't sound right, but I don't know.
Do most people in the town think that he, you know, if he has someone confess to it, that they should arrest him?
Everybody I've talked to, you know, said that they should have kept him. Because, you know, with that kind of evidence, you know, they just should have kept him in jail, because he could, you know, leave at any minute.
Are people upset that it might possibly be one of their own here in the community?
I don't think so. I've always thought it would be somebody around here that done it. It's very seldom somebody would come in from somewhere else, you know, unless it was a transit or something coming through, and that's, you know, highly unlikely. I think this gentleman has been in trouble before with the law over some little kids. I'm not real sure what exactly happened, but there was some little kids involved in one of his altercations. So I really don't understand, you know, why they let him go. They did.
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech from Wix. Now this whole flow is a conversation, so your words actually build your website. I'm going.
Well, like I said, first and foremost, I think they ought to respect the family's wishes concerning, being kind of left alone and kind of keep a low profile about the whole situation until somebody has some, real proof on the whole thing. And as far as identifying the man, I don't think that would help anything, and it's not going to help the family because until they can prove something. But I think they ought to make more of an effort to prove something. Those people have lived this hell for 2.5 years. It's time someone helped them out and tried to, get some real proof here. If this is the man, then they need to go ahead and do something instead of just letting him go free or whatever, because nobody knows what he's going to do. And it's just a sad situation, but again, I think, leave the family alone. They've lived through enough without, adding to their misery with rumors and all this attention. They don't need it. They don't need it. But they need to know. They need to know something. Whatever it takes, and a lot sooner than any months from now. I don't know what their problem is, but it just seems to me like it should have a little bit more priority. I couldn't be as kind as she is about the situation, but I guess she just has more patience or whatever than I do. I just couldn't handle it if it were me.
6-year-old Morgan Nick may be missing, but the Ozark girl's memory fills the minds of those across the state looking for her and her captor. Amid the pink ribbons and thousands of flyers, the FBI announced this week they're bringing in a powerful computer to help in the search.
I don't know how you can protect them any more than I did.
Colleen Nick says she's always been accused of being an overprotective mother, and that makes it more difficult for her to understand how somebody was able to snatch her 6-year-old daughter Morgan from a Little League baseball field in Alma. Morgan disappeared late Friday night. No one's seen or heard from her since.
How many times have y'all walked past the store window and looked at a flyer and thought, that poor family, I hope they find the child, I will never walk past one again without my heart stopping.
Friends and family members have plastered Morgan's picture and a picture of her suspected abductor in just about every window in Crawford County and the surrounding communities. They've tied pink ribbons to her home in Ozark as a symbol of hope that Morgan will return safely. The color chosen because it's Morgan's favorite. The blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl is 4 feet tall, weighs 55 pounds. She was last seen wearing a Girl Scout t-shirt and blue denim shorts. Authorities are working against the clock, but they say they haven't given up hope.
We don't want to say the chances are going to decrease, but I will say that she is in more danger as time lapses.
We just praying that we find her safely, looking every nook and cranny and down every dirt road and back road and what have you that we can think to go through. Just trying to be there for her.
Morgan's suspected kidnapper is a white man about 6 feet tall with a medium build. He has black and gray hair, possibly a mustache and beard.
Authorities are interested in not only finding Morgan, but catching her alleged abductor as well. They say he may be the same man accused of 2 other attempted kidnappings in this western Arkansas area during the past 3 days. They say he may continue committing offenses until he's captured. Reporting from Alma, I'm Deborah Takahara for Channel 7 News.
The increased number, just to catch up on leads. Right now our leads are somewhere over 1,600 to 1,700 investigative leads to cover. Of course, we've got a backlog. We can't cover them that fast. We're anticipating maybe some things to increase that number, and we just need to catch up on them.
This is where the nightmare began Friday night, at a baseball field a block from the Alma Police Department. Colleen Nick turned her back on her 6-year-old daughter for just several moments. When she turned around, Morgan was gone.
Was he driving a car or a vehicle?
Hundreds of leads are called into the police station each day. Police are pursuing as many as possible. One woman who allegedly witnessed the abduction was hypnotized, but even she has not led police any closer to catching their only suspect, a man described in his mid to late 30s with dark brown and gray hair, about 6 feet tall.
Somewhere out there are people that know the individual, and it's just trying to get the right information from the general public and law enforcement before we can identify the person.
Pink ribbons are a constant reminder of Morgan's abduction at the baseball field, along the streets, and on people's clothes. Though pink is a color of innocence, this community seems to have lost some of its own.
Some periods during the day you're more hopeful that she'll turn up any minute. And, some periods of the day it's hard to stay hopeful.
Among the many leads police have followed up on are tips that a man fitting the suspect's description has been seen in Van Buren County. So far, those leads have turned up empty. A reward of $7,500 is also being offered by Alma businesses. Hopefully, the case will come to a quick close now that the reward is being offered. Lauren Glassberg, Channel 7 News.
Renewed search efforts in a decades-old missing persons case turning up nothing once again for the family of Morgan Nick. Crews had been searching a property in eastern Oklahoma since yesterday, and that's where we find Channel 7's Matt Mershant with the latest from authorities. Matt?
Well, good evening, Alicia. Crews have spent the better part of this afternoon filling in the hole in this backyard they've been digging since Monday. That dig for evidence, acting on information unrelated to the Morgan Nick case, but on a property that investigators had searched nearly 7 years ago in relation to Morgan Nick's disappearance. Agents with the FBI, Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, local law enforcement, as well as investigators from Arkansas were on scene in Spiro, Oklahoma, Tuesday. Authorities here searching a property searched in the Morgan Nick case back in 2010.
It's not a cold case. A lot of people refer to it. It's an old case, but not cold. We still get leads all the time on it. We're working them constantly.
When officials initially searched this property, authorities only had a search warrant for a home on the property, that home belonging to a person of interest in the Morgan Nick case since the investigation started back in 1995. The home no longer exists, and the person of interest is currently incarcerated.
We've never been able to tie him directly to it, and we've never been able to clear him from it.
Crews were reportedly searching for a well on the property in relation to another investigation.
That dig was done about an inch or two at a time with the soil drug back, and then that way the forensic pathologist from the state medical examiner's office could thoroughly look at everything that was being moved.
They dug roughly 2 feet before hitting bedrock. No well and no Morgan Nick.
I'm 100% confident that there's no evidence there in that location.
And tonight, reaction from Morgan Nick's mother, Colleen, after finding out nothing had been found here. She says, quote, she's never given up hope that Morgan is out there waiting to be found. She says she'll continue to fight for Morgan's return home. For now, we are in Spiro, Oklahoma. We'll send it back to you, Alicia.
Still keeping hope alive. Thanks, Matt. 6-year-old Morgan Nick was reported missing in 1995 after being abducted from the Alma Little League baseball park.
Today we've learned new developments have come to light in the 1995 disappearance of Morgan Nick. 6-year-old Morgan Nick and her mother Colleen were enjoying a baseball game in Alma on June 9th, 1995. Morgan and other children at the park ran across a field catching fireflies. And moments later, Morgan disappeared. In December of 2017, authorities in Oklahoma searched an area in Spiro, hoping to find information leading to further developments in Morgan's case, but their search was unsuccessful. And just last year, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children released a new age progression photo of what Morgan might look like at the age of 31.
Well, that brings us to today, when for the first time a person of interest was named in the Morgan Nick disappearance. And while he died more than 2 decades ago, Morgan's mother, Colleen, is not giving up hope her daughter will come home. She spoke today with Channel 7's Paris Kane.
Until someone can tell me that Morgan did not survive, then I'm going to fight every day for her to come home.
It's been 26 years and 5 months to the day since Colleen Nick last saw her daughter.
And she loved cats. She loved apples. She thought that bubble gum was a food group. You know, she was a first grader with her whole life in front of her.
Morgan was 6 years old when she was last seen at a Little League game in Alma, doing what kids do, playing, chasing fireflies, chasing dreams.
Morgan, at 6 years old, her dream was to grow up to be a circus performer and a doctor.
The last thing that anyone expected was that someone was also chasing Morgan, and in an instant, she was gone.
There's a tremendous amount of truth and hope and encouragement in the fact that when Morgan was taken, the state of Arkansas stood up.
26 years later, Colleen says the same agencies, friends, and strangers that stood up then still stand with them today.
People really just pulled Morgan into their hearts, you know, made her part of their families. And all these people are still fighting for Morgan with us.
Over the years, Colleen says law enforcement has chased down countless leads, and she urges anyone with any information about Morgan or any missing or endangered child to speak up.
It might be hard to spot a child who's missing, but it's not hard for any of us to spot a child in trouble. And what we do with that could change the course of the child's life.
Right now, the FBI is asking for the public's help. They want information on Billy Jack Links, a man who was arrested 2 months after she disappeared for the attempted abduction of a young girl in Van Buren County, just 8 miles away from the same baseball fields Morgan was last seen.
When you commit an offense against a child, you've done it before and you'll do it again.
Links died in prison in 2000, and the FBI wants anyone who knew him to give them a call.
It could be the information that brings Morgan home to us.
If she were to come across this, what would you want to say to her?
I would say, you know, Morgan, it's okay if you forgot about us or if you're not sure who you are, but we have never forgotten about you. We are still fighting for you. We have an army of people fighting for you, and we are coming to get you.
Paris Kane, Channel 7 News.
If you know anything about Billy Jack Links, literally any information about him or his life, the FBI says no detail is too small. They want you to call them at 1-800-CALL-FBI. And if anyone has any information about Morgan or her whereabouts, call the Alma Police Department or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Their number is 1-800-THE-LOST.
What would you say?